Hey, what's up? Hey, I don't know. I can't. Are you saying something? I can't. If you are, I don't really hear anything. But what's going on? Snuggles and Panda and Stan and blah 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 blah. Now, I was just looking at this post by the Watcher. I don't know why I'm seeing the Watcher's posts, but she was saying that that
Sorry, think the connection glitched. What'd she say?
so she was saying that like like RPK's only basis for the claim that Lua Elizondo is part of CIFA and harassed gay service members during DADT is a FOIA doc. And BlackVault.com told RPK that it's a bit reckless to claim that it is the same Lua Elizondo without more evidence. Well, I don't know. You think that's true? I mean, how many guys named Lua Elizondo are there really?
Well, Gerb covered it too, so it's not just me.
Right?
That watcher count is like one of the weirder ones of our little stalkers. They're creepy. They creep me out.
I mean, it's really ironic given who the account belongs to that they do that. But yeah.
Who does the account belong to? Who do you suspect that one is?
Uh,
Is that a back
what's her
channel?
name? Maybe it's better for the back channel. Yeah. I mean, I don't. I don't really give a fuck.
Who is it? Tell us.
It's that blonde bitch, whatever her name is.
Vinny?
Yeah.
She's that account, and she's the other one too. Ufology SWAT. What's up with that chick, bro? I've never had any issues with her, and she's like so activated against me. It's wild.
You know what? Actually, maybe I have them mixed up. Maybe I was thinking ufology SWAT, but maybe it's not the Watcher. Maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she is both of them. Who knows? But doesn't like the UFO ufology SWAT like just as bad or no? I think they're probably worse from all
Yeah,
the
they're
things
pretty
Yeah,
much
that
the
you
they're
same thing.
saying.
Okay, I'm gonna grab my
honestly,
chance
I
here.
think you're right.
Co-host me. Oh yeah, Fred. And let's get All Things up here because I heard word on the street is that All Things went out to Roswell and did some what's it called?
That was another guy,
Metal
wasn't it?
Yeah.
detecting. Oh, was it a month ago? I guess I'm late. I'm a
No, I
bad
said it was
friend.
another guy. It was that
Was
that
not another guy, and I'm up here.
Oh,
See,
really? You guys were
Logan,
both
you
over there at
piece
the
of
same
shit.
time?
Oh, who
It
else was
was
over there?
that one guy who has like the Skywalker. Skywalker was just there.
Doing metal detecting?
At the same place?
Well, I mean, metal detecting. I don't know about that, but he was just there. Yeah.
Look,
While
look,
you were there?
look at this. Some serious metal detecting going on. So I
But
heard
wait a
it's
minute.
littered with a bunch of random
That,
shit over there.
was
Yeah,
Skywalker there
it
while
is.
you were doing your metal
Smart.
checking?
No, I don't think Skywalker was. Tell us
Totally.
all about it. All things. Take the floor, bro. If you want.
Yeah, so I was not in Roswell. That I this time I went to the plains of San Augustine to the Pasulka, Gary Nolan, Tim Taylor site, and many and others. Others have been out there too. But with some help from some friends uh, and a whole lot of research have been put together for quite a while, we definitively figured out where that was. And I got permission to go out there. My friend Lee Starks, he went with me. I think Red put that picture of Lee. Oh, there's some more pictures. He went out there with me because, frankly, it's just not safe to go out there by yourself. And I mean, because of the environment, it's so isolated, right? And there's so many hazards out there. If you were to break an ankle, and there's no cell service, so if you were to break an ankle or get bit by a rattlesnake or something, then you're in big trouble. Or have a flat tire because we had to drive out there, And I had some big takeaways, but yeah, you mentioned that we've heard this lore about that particular crash site being littered with metallic debris. And I was a little on the skeptical side of that. I was thinking, well, I've heard stories about how ranchers dump all their stuff in the same place. And I was thinking, well, yeah, it could be, from natural flooding because they get floods up there in the high plains and maybe just all washed out in the same place over decades now, right? Well, now that I've been out there, I can like 99% verify this notion that, and I can't think of any other rational explanation that indeed was seeded with a fantastical amount of metallic debris. It was everywhere and it was old. That was the other thing. It was all very, very old. And I mean, everything you can think of. We've heard cans, but this was more than cans. It was cans, buckets, chairs, tables, desk, anything and everything. I found one modern piece of plastic out there, one modern piece of plastic. Everything else was rusted and old, really old. And that's why I think the most significant thing I found were two beer bottles that were intact. And one of them in particular was an old, short Anheuser-Busch beer bottle. And so it had like engravings on it. And I was able to use AI. I kind of want to get in touch with Anheuser-Busch to verify, but I was able to use AI to determine it almost certainly came from somewhere between the 1910s and the 1950s, but more certainly came from the late 1940s. That's what AI said, like because of the particular stamp and the numbers that were on the bottom of the bottle, it probably came from the late 1940s. And
Okay,
I
just
thought,
a quick question. Do you know if that
sure,
place has any relationship with like a typical camping site or, a place people would go in the 50s or 40s to just hang out?
no. And I know that because the same the same family owns the land as cattle land that has owned it for decades. Now, surely there definitely were cattle hands, ranchers, out there dealing with animals over the decades, as has been the case for a very long time. And the man that owned it, his father knew of other people that had been out there in the past. But I can tell you, and I considered that theory too. I could tell you that being out there by my just now, I got the sense that one, I wasn't going to see another person for a long time. I didn't see any cows or humans, anything. And then two, I got this distinct sense nobody had been out there, at least not many people, for a very, very long time. I find it hard to believe that for some reason in the like 47 that they would have just I can't find any explanation for why in the late 40s they would have just these few people would have accumulated tons of metallic debris and just spread it out there. It was no use metal detecting, like the metal detector, even on the lowest setting, would just go off constantly. And 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 not just on the topsoil either. Like one time, Lee dug down a foot because his metal detector was really hitting strong on something, and it was like an old, really old roll of barbed wire down there, like a foot down. And it was just like that everywhere, except now that was in what I'd call the basin or the arroyo or the flat area that was in between two like higher areas, which you've heard about. But as soon as you got off that basin, no more metallic debris, no more metal detector hits. It was all just in that softer, lower lying basin area.
What kind of detector were you using? I know there's like certain types specific for gold, for example, that don't use magnetism in that sense. That are since gold isn't magnetic, as far as I remember. What type? What kind of type was it?
Yeah, so I had that. This was actually a problem for me, a slight problem. But it was only before I left because I flew out and I flew to El Paso, and so and I was hooking up with Lee. Lee didn't have a metal detector, but I was able to borrow two metal detectors, and I checked them in my luggage and flew them out there. Took the batteries out, reassembled them when we got out there and everything. But I had two different kinds. One was a very, I'd say, standard, cheap, like kit beachcomber kind of metal detector. But both of them, you could turn the pure metal and I may not be using the right language here because I'm not a metal detecting expert, but you could turn the 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 strength of it down, and you could turn the pure metal setting off and have it only going for, like you said, precious metals, gold, silver, that sort of thing. Like one Lee did find a something, maybe a wire. It appeared that the detector said was silver. Now, does it have any silver in it? I don't know. I haven't verified that yet. But we tried all different settings. Now, if I turn the metal off, I would still get hits. Like some of those cans and things would hit, maybe because of aluminum. I'm just speculating here, but they would still hit on the other settings. But especially if you turn the metallic setting on, it was pointless.
Okay, interesting. I just know that there's I don't know which types, but maybe they're quite expensive. But there are some metal detectors that can use conductivity, where they're like projecting electrons down into the ground to hit any other types of minerals, and you can actually fine tune it, just like you described, to different minerals.
Yeah, I mean, we tried everything, but again, you know, this this basin area was probably, I'm just guessing, 300 yards long, maybe 100 yards wide. That's a rough estimate. And again, it was pointless to metal detect. This notion that it was seeded in that manner to obfuscate future research, it really made sense once I was out there. And it's not like you were just going to randomly start digging or anything. For one thing, I didn't want to just like violate the land. But we did find a couple of spots, like one in particular, which was on a ridge. It was like a 10-foot diameter circular area where somebody had clearly been digging, and looking for something that was obvious. And we found a couple of those kind of patches where it looked like a person had been digging. That
Did
was
you
the
get any
other.
pictures of that? Like where somebody was digging?
I probably do have one. I'd have to search. I took a lot of pictures and a lot of video. Um, Now the other kind of scary thing to me is like, even though the only other animals we saw were insects, it was covered in scat like everywhere. You could not take a single step without stepping in some kind of animal scat. And I was like, my God, what goes on out here at night? It must be crazy out here at night.
Did you have fun? That's the most important thing.
Oh, I had a great time, and I really verified a lot of things that I personally have been wanting to get to the bottom of. Like, um, I have
Wasn't there some snip snap? Sorry, before I forget, but about the whole Gary Nolan Pasolka
Hello.
story about, because that's where you went, right? Wasn't there some like it happened, it didn't happen? Do you remember that? Did you brush up on
I mean,
lore before you went out there?
yeah, I mean, and I've never seen what I would call verification, but both of them went on the Lido files recently, and they said some very interesting things in there. Some things that also helped us find, okay, this is definitely where they went. And I haven't posted everything that we did out there or found out, but they did. I would say a lot of the stuff they mentioned, Lido files, like places they stopped, like this store they stopped at that was like really cool, and they should film a movie there, and it's old and has great food and stuff. I mean, yeah, we stopped there too. We talked to the owners. That place has been there a long time, so I verified it was there. The owner of the land actually mentioned a guy from Stanford had been out there, and he had no reason to say that. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I'm going to talk to him some more. We had some hiccups that I've got to call him and clear up. But yeah, I feel like I verified but I also, in my mind, determined that they've used some red herrings, and when they talk about it, which I always suspected, but it kind of made me know for sure. Like anytime they talk about it, they throw a couple of red herrings in there. That's like just like a little twist on the truth.
Did you look for or
Odd.
notice any drones out there?
Oh, drones? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, did you happen to notice or were you looking up in the skies to see if maybe anyone was watching you?
Well, so first of all, I wish I'd had a drone. People were, I had a lot of people volunteered to give me metal detectors, but nobody volunteered to give me a drone, unfortunately. So I would love to go back out there with the drone sometime. But no, I didn't notice anything. A matter of fact, on our way out, because one great stop I had, and you talk about having fun. Yeah, I got to see the VLA, the Very Large Array, which was super cool, and that's out there near the site, like not that far away. Well, we noticed on the way out, like I commented even, that's the first birds I've seen, and they were crows. The only birds I saw were crows, just every once in a while. And I say that because, I was kind of keeping an eye on the sky and to see if there was anything else like people, animals, anything, but no, we didn't see anything. With that being said, you could see for every once in a while you could see for vast distances, but yeah, you could kind of disappear behind a ridge or a bush like really instantly. So the thing is, there could have been somebody really far away keep an eye on us. I don't know. The gate said that there were cameras somewhere. I mean, is that true or not? I don't know. Maybe.
Hey, check the nest. Lou out here zinging. he's like roasting motherfuckers.
Oh.
Do you think they're all just coming back from Blue Sky now? Like, I wonder if if this place is about to turn
Well,
up.
they're at Busch Gardens, right? That's where he went with. He's
No, I
probably
know,
with
but they're all
looking.
like. It seems like everybody's like active again, back on.
Oh, like
On.
he must be
on
drunk right now. He's responding to everyone. He's responding to Moneypenny.
Dude, I
I
wonder if you
like
saw
to
like
see
one of
Lou
my recent
happy, dude.
tweets. I made like a tweet about something similar recently. I noticed that Ocean had. It was
When
about like
What
someone
was
said he
it?
looked like he lost weight. Oh shit, sorry.
no, it was someone said something like God, I don't even remember now. This was like years ago, but it was just like yesterday for some reason. It was like I'll bring it up later. I'm retarded. Sorry.
What was
Shit,
that in
dude.
reference to, though?
I mean, I was saying like the only friction that's happening is between like me, like in your mother's sheets or something like that. To this like one guy, but yeah, kind of reminded me of like what Lou just said just now. I was like, oh yeah, right there with you.
Oh yeah, he said someone's like, "You're looking good, Lou, like you lost weight," and he's like, stress does that. I was like, oh damn.
It does, though. Anxiety is one of the best ways to lose weight, dude. You can drop pounds quick, like in a couple days. It's crazy. It
Yeah, was it from like all
sucks.
the clenching on the tight ass, or what is it?
I think it's just because you don't have an appetite. You can't eat, and then your body's just like working overtime. I don't know. It speeds up your metabolism, I think, too. You're in fight or flight mode, maybe. I don't know. Something's going on there. Cause like I get stressed out for a day and like, damn, I could lose like I could lose some pounds quick. But as soon as I relax, I start eating again.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not always the case that like it's always like the nervous kind of people are always kind of like skinny, and it's always like the relaxed people that are like kind of like fat looking. That's always how it turns out, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's something like that. I just know the anxiety will drop them LBs quick.
Darth Chase.
I thought that might be
Red.
you.
What was that?
Red,
What's up?
you've watched more UFO videos than anybody here. What's your take on the video I sent you? I'm just curious to
That's
your
not true.
feedback.
I'm watching a UFO
The
video
one
right
of
now.
the
How do
one
you
of
know?
the Greer one, I said I couldn't really see the thing. It was
Yeah,
kind
we did watch it again. The
okay.
latest one I sent you,
I'm
man.
clipping something up right now, then after I will do that. I will
Yeah, you can
put it
take
up in
your
the nest. Can you put it up in the
ADHD.
nest so everyone could see it too?
I did twice.
You know, people spread so many bullshit rumors.
Hello.
Like, why don't we like start spreading like fun kind of rumors that like I don't know, like fun rumors that are just like not true, but they're good anyway. You know.
Yeah, it's just a weird video. I mean, Greer is standing there talking in the middle of wheelchair, and he's saying like, so we're trying to make contact with whoever is making these crop circles. And as soon as he says that, Nicolas Cage style, some kind of something fly past his head or in the background. And I had to watch this over and over again and turn the contrast down because it's so hard to see. But yeah, just weird. It's in the comments.
Yeah, it looked like a leaf to me. Like a leaf just like was like in the wind and just kind of on a downward trajectory.
You're saying his UFO video is of a leaf?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to me, it appeared to be a leaf that just happened to be caught in the wind and was, just on a downward trajectory.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that one. That's a good alternative. It's just the weird part is in the audio of the original video, the audio is affected by whatever is happening.
Are there any dogs barking?
No, I don't think so. The
That's how you
interview
really
is
know.
quite long. Yes, you really know.
And it's funny you bring
I'm
up dogs
serious.
because that's why I wanted to join in, man. Because you were like, it's usually the skinny ones that are all nervous and hyperactive and running around, and it just reminded me of like some skinny dogs you see, or like running around the neighborhood or something like that. It's like they're always the ones, man.
Yeah,
My grandma was
would
really nervous when she was like always like anyway, but she was always like super skinny too, right? Up until the day she died, she was always just super skinny, just super like a nervous energy kind of lady.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
that
It's just
dog's barking
moving
thing,
too
that's a real
fast.
thing, bro. If you hear like a dog barking in the back of like a UFO video, that's how you know it's legit.
Or a kid fucking going crazy.
Yeah, they can sense that shit. I wonder why. What is it about them that they get upset about the visitors? You think is it like a generational?
They know.
What do they know exactly? It's just bad. You get like bad voodoo or whatever, bad juju.
It's probably their eyeballs. The fact that they can probably see in various other wave spectrums, so to speak. That we just can't, and they're like, I totally see that. Why ain't you doing anything about it? Right?
They could
Yeah.
probably also sense like other signs of nature too, like if it gets really quiet or something else is going on, right? Like there's other signs of that kind of stuff as well. You would think,
Like the nature going quiet. You mean?
yeah, like just certain things like dogs will bark a lot during solar eclipses, and if you notice, like a lot of it'll get really silent, like you won't hear any birds chirping or anything like that, but you'll hear dogs barking. So I don't know. I think they just sense, they pick up on some other senses that are going on within the environment as well.
Yeah, perhaps various other forms of perspective or perception, rather. Pardon me.
Yeah, well, the dogs are like psychic, probably. I think pretty much. I don't know. I mean, my dog can like read my mind. I think I'm pretty sure. They probably all can. Or I don't know. Maybe we're psychic and like I was just telling them something without realizing it. I don't know.
My dog is telepathic.
Well, there you go. Debate settled. So yeah.
She harasses me. It's like I'll let the window down. Wait. And all she's doing is like looking at me, like standing on the back seat, paws on the windowsill.
What kind of dog is it?
Wanting it to be rolled down. She is a glorious divine creature. That's what.
Are you gonna catch hell for that?
I had to ask. It's a Bichon.
She's a bishop dog.
You don't know what kind of dog you have, bro?
It's a strange name, but it's a king. Her mother's a King Charles Cavalier, and she had to be bred with a Bichon. Now I've almost forgot it again. Bichon Frige. Did I say it right?
Bichon Frise.
Bichon Freestyle. So she's a DJ and telepathic.
Speaking of telepathy, I was on a run the other day, and I started thinking about something. How they say like grays are hive-minded, and like certain extraterrestrials have like operate on a hive mind.
I think Tom
Yeah.
DeLonge believes that.
Yeah. So like, but if you think about like all of like some of us will have telepathic experiences. We're all obviously not telepathic, right? We're not like reading each other's minds constantly, but there's a push,
Better hope
you
not.
know, to like, you know, like people think that that's going to be a good thing, right? This ability to, you know, I don't know, exercise like a sixth sense and like really get good at it. But to me, it seems like it's like telepathy, the lack of telepathy isn't a bug. I think it's a feature, right? It's
Agreed.
what makes us unique is our ability to have our own thoughts and our own, you know, opinions about things. Because once you become telepathic, I think it leads to being hive minded.
Yeah, that's one of the things they say about disclosure too. That they fear is like basically no one's gonna be able to have secrets anymore or some shit. We're all gonna be able to read each other's minds and shit. We won't be
Oh
able to
yeah,
lie
we
to
want
each
that
other
shit for
anymore.
sure.
No, language was created to lie. And this was the whole benefit of the Tower of Babel, whatever it originally was to cut off this nonsense, you know, and give us our privacy. And then we broke apart and made our own languages across our different cultures and regions.
I'm pretty sure it was invented to collect taxes. I'm pretty sure that was the original reason.
Nice.
But I think King Wakata's here. Is that like real King Wakata or?
The one,
I think they did
the only.
they did the separate language thing because they were upset with us. They were just upset with us. They're like, dude, we need to confuse their language because look at what's happening to them. You know, like we need to separate these people.
John,
How dare
John,
you?
you stepped on my intro, and I've heard about
Yes,
I'm
that.
never
sorry, man.
again.
I'm sorry.
This day
Hey,
will be
King
remembered.
Wakata, fuck yeah.
I had this intro all thought out and shit, and John, how could you? No, just wanted to ask what the heading UFO gifting site 95% verified. Okay, like what? Give me info on this. What's up with this?
Just something All Things Podcast said. I can't.
Let's get him back up here. I mean, 95% is pretty huge. We did kind of gloss over that. I'm glad you put that in the title. Let's get him back up here. If you go
it
look in the
struck me as a
nest,
pretty bold claim there. I was like, oh wow.
he just went
Yeah,
to
my
the
guy, all
gifting
things. What's
field.
up, all things?
I
Yes,
don't know.
sir. Welcome
There you go.
back, man. I heard you in the space the other night, so welcome back.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Glad to be back. Back
Yeah, it's good to
among
hear
the
your
living.
voice.
Thank you.
Let him know all
Yeah, so
things.
yeah, I actually said in my mind I 99% confirmed a lot of the stuff of the lore around that site and the things Nolan and Pasulka has been saying, and just because I just won't say 100%, that's the only reason. But yeah, so King, I with the help of some friends, we determined precisely where that site was, and I contacted the right person and got permission to go out there. This is in the plains of St. Augustine, which Pasulka admits in her follow-up book to American Cosmic. She admits it's in the plains of St. Augustine. I already kind of knew that anyway, but she did say that. And then I used a lot of clues between Nolan and Pasulka being on the Lido files and some other things we knew to confirm like this is where you enter that property. I had already narrowed it down based on other stuff to a particular region, and so I knew I was close. And it's not like there's a whole lot of roads or things out there. It's pretty desolate.
Is
But
is Lindsey Graham?
what's that?
Nothing. Darth Graham.
You said you sound like Lindsey Graham, but can you kind of give us a backstory on what you're talking about? I just jumped in late. Sorry.
He went to the UFO gifting site. That's a secret with Travis Taylor and Pasulka. That they talk about anyway. Not with them, but is that the gist of it really?
So this would be the place where the aliens dropped one off, like here, this is for you guys type thing. So it's not like an archaeological site.
It's where a UFO crashed in the summer of 1947, which is an interesting date because a lot of UFO activity we know happened in the summer of 47, including in Washington State. There was a lot of stuff. Someone pointed out in Australia there was in 47, and then, of course, the Roswell incident. This was within weeks of all of that as well.
Oh, so it's not the actual Roswell incident. It's just like another part of the flat.
Correct. It's a separate site, and Pasulka made that clear at some point too, in American Cosmic and on Joe Rogan, that she did not go to the Roswell crash site. She went to a different crash site in New Mexico, and it was this crash site.
Isn't it the lore that we figured out radar, and then the radar was interfering with their stuff, but they quickly adapted, or something of that nature?
Yeah, that's a theory. I think there's more involved in that, and thus Pasulka's presence there. But I did another part of the lore, King, is this theory that this notion that the military or somebody seeded the crash site with metallic debris. And I definitely confirmed that that's out there, just on and on and on. Old, very old metallic debris everywhere. And as I pointed out earlier, I found one modern piece of plastic. Like, it's not like this is just some sort of active dumping ground. Um, the other key thing I found is, and I said this earlier, I found 2 old beer bottles intact, both very old. One, Anheuser-Busch, very short beer bottle, has some cool um, things on it. It's AI said it most likely came from the late 40s. It certainly came from between 1910s and 1950s, but I thought the fact that it's probably from the late 40s, it really validates the theory that all of this metallic debris was placed there at the same time in the late 40s to obfuscate research.
How does that work exactly? What do you mean by that? Yeah, I don't really get it.
The bottle dates the rest of the debris. The fact that it came from the crash happened in 47. The story goes within very short order, the military was on the site, literally covering it up, loading it onto something and getting it out of there. And it's at that point that they swooped in and seeded the crash site with metallic debris. Well, that's how the story goes. Well, if that is indeed how it played out, then you would expect that, because this happened in the summer of 47, and you would probably expect all of the debris out there to be dated to 47 or before. And I feel like the fact that I found an intact glass bottle, which by the way goes back to my earlier point of how there's just not people out there running around, right? Like, it's just, that's just not the case. And there hasn't been for a long time, not many people. But finding a piece, a glass bottle that dates to the late 40s validates the theory that they spread all this metallic debris in short order after they collected the UFO.
Because they'd be drinking when they were doing that and not before.
Well, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense that, first of all, would take a fairly large group of soldiers or whoever's doing it, and I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense if you're in the summer of 47 in New Mexico. Yeah, you may knock a couple of brews back and just toss them out with the metallic debris.
Goddamn right you would. Doing a lot of that back then, I think. Like, Chase,
Hey,
you have your hand up? What's up?
Yeah.
hey, Tim,
Can you
can I
hear me okay?
add?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
think.
and there's my partner. This is Lee Starks, Defense 22. Lee, I didn't see you in here.
We'll let Lee go, and then we'll let Chase go
Oh,
after, because I
okay.
think Lee was there. Sorry, Chase.
Yeah, just to sort of confirm what Tim is saying, we can't give up the site itself, but it was probably not quite a mile uh, drive across, not roads, not gravel, not dirt, but across country. And so the site itself literally is out in the middle of nowhere. And if you listen to Pasulka and Gary Nolan's several of their interviews, they'll say that they were blindfolded to go out there, but the way they described the site, that the site itself is contaminated with, all these tin cans and things like Tim said. Now there was Gary Nolan on the last interview that I heard with, I think it was Chris Lito, said that he made a reference to cypress trees being sort of formed or deformed. And there's a spot out there that if you look at it, of course, there's no cypress trees in New Mexico, but there is evergreen trees like sagebrush trees and shit like that. And if you look at the site, it appears that there's a place where a craft could have came down, and again, I'm saying could have, and it was probably 500 yards, would you say, Tim? Where it appears to touch the ground and then probably skip to another maybe 300, 400 yards. And then where it looks to be like it probably crashed and maybe somewhat broke apart. It's a straight line to the debris field. There's one bit of evidence for me as a guy who spent my whole life collecting evidence. I can look at that and go, if somebody told me something crashed out here, I would say it came in from the southeast, hit there, bounced, hit here, and then on the other side of me is where the debris field is. So I'm convinced that possibly that's a lock. Now the other thing, there were witnesses to it that were at another location that said they saw the craft come in and they saw it crashed. And from where we triangulated that location to where it appears like something could have came and bounced and skipped and came to a rest is in perfect alignment with where the other witnesses were. Now, it's 50 years, however many years later, clearly whatever brush grew there 50, 60 years ago isn't the same, but the ground is actually sort of deformed in a manner that could be consistent with what Gary was saying on the Lido files. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think cypress trees was one of those red herrings I was mentioning. I think that as many times I've heard Gary Nolan speak, he's very academic and he tends to be very precise in what he's saying. I just think that's one of his little red herrings. There, like Lee said, there are no cypress trees out there.
Right. And, he's from California, and maybe out there in California that most of those evergreens, I don't know, maybe they're cypress or some form of cypress, but these are, the kind of evergreens that you would expect and consistent in New Mexico. But
Yeah, you could see where he would get that from, right? Like they're
yeah,
very distinctive looking, funky trees.
yeah.
Right.
And when you
So
walk
first
up to
off,
them, like the tree
massive
trunks are
respect for
sort
the
of
legwork
twisted
you
like
two
a
put in.
cypress, except they're
That
small.
triangulation from witness statements to the ground scarring is exactly how you do this. You don't just wander around hoping. And yeah, Nolan's cypress thing screams red herring. He's too smart to slip up like that by
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Well, that just made my day. Snuggles, validation, baby. Let's
Absolutely.
go.
AIDS, baby.
And then a couple of other things that were sort of consistent in the debris field. We had basically metal detectors out there, and we were digging up a lot of stuff in the debris field itself. That some of it was tin cans, the consistent. You could tell they were old because if any of you guys are old like me, you remember old tin cans. The tops of them are rolled, and they just look different. But the other thing is, there was cut up barbed wire that's consistent with what the Roswell site was, they threw nails and they threw like cut up barbed wire out in that debris field. So the methodology of covering the site up, I think, is consistent, and I think Tim would agree with that. And then there was a couple other pieces that we have and were in possession of that weren't really cans. They weren't really wire or barbed wire. I have two pieces. We have two pieces that registered as silver, which is really, really bizarre. Why would silver be out there? And then if you've heard Diana describe a couple of the pieces that they have, has a frog skin like feel. We acquired a couple pieces that have that is super strong and very much different than the tin cans. And so, a couple of those things will need to be analyzed. But hey, listen, guys, we're about to do a night vision shoot out here. I've got some students that are getting ready to leave to the Marine Corps. And so we're doing some night vision exercise. I saw you guys talking about this. I just wanted to pop in real quick.
Hell yeah, look up there. I don't know if you saw that video I posted the other
Thanks,
day of the
Lee.
hunter saw the night vision UFOs. Go for it, Chase. So your questions for, I think all things will still be up here.
Yeah, well, some of it was already covered. I thought the area was under lock and key. Maybe it was just that they were blindfolded and they were taken out there. I was going to ask
Oh,
how you guys got access to it, or how did you geolocate it on your own just from clues that were giving of surroundings? I think Pazolka mentions that it was like a famous episode. It was in a famous episode of the X Files. Right, there's a plateau or something that was she noticed when she was out there. But did somebody share the location with you, or did you guys just find it?
Um, I don't want to say, Tim, if you feel comfortable saying, fine. But we had to really work hard to get this. And the people that allowed us there were very, very, nice about doing it. And I don't want to corrupt that or contaminate that. And I was just there as Tim's guest and the other people's guests. So that's all on Tim if he wants to. But
It's private property, though.
yes,
Yeah, I'll say this, Chase. It is under lock and somebody has a hot mic.
it was 2020, but I
Uh,
muted him.
yeah, it is under lock and key, Chase. It is private property. I guess you could call that in my wheelhouse, speaking to people and finding out tiny bits of information. So, I mean, I just spoke with the owner, and turns out our mutual knowledge of 70s New Orleans Saints football is what opened the gate for me, so to
He also
speak.
likes money. Is that right?
Money? Who likes money?
You didn't grease his palm a little bit?
Everyone.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I don't think this guy has Venmo. So no, I didn't. I didn't grease the palm. I don't think that these guys out there that have thousands and thousands of acres really need or are interested in, like, oh, let me slip you a 50. Like that's crazy time. But it is under lock and key. But we got permission, and we're given the directions to how to access the property. Now, I will say it's vast out there, but the thing is, I knew that it was all fenced in, and there's gates, and there's private property signs up. You could go out there, and you could obviously head out there, maybe on foot, maybe you get the particular entrance open, whatever. But I wasn't going to do that. I mean, you definitely would be trespassing. I think, or you might get shot. I didn't want to get shot or thrown in a New Mexico jail.
exactly. I was going to say that. Be careful if you trespass. These people they're not townies. They're out of townies and very, very remotely out of townies that protect their shit, so be prepared.
Oh
I'll
yeah, I
say
wouldn't
this
go
about
there.
the X Files too, Chase.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Can you
Uh,
confirm that it was in that?
in my mind, and I told Lee this too, and Lee may think differently. I think that's a red herring. I'm pretty convinced that that particular episode of X Files, that scene was filmed in Canada. And the other thing is, like the one particular scene, there was a huge ass lake in there. Well, there's no huge ass lakes in that area in the plains of San Augustine. It does not match up to me. Trust me, I looked hard at, I know of at least 2 X Files episodes that delve into the Roswell stuff. I know of 2 episodes that people have told me that, hey, they got secret stuff in it. One is a really weird episode. I can't remember what it's called. It has a weird name. And the other one is the one you're thinking about where they're like at the crash site. Now they may have modeled, and I think Lee mentioned this, they may have modeled the site in Canada after what somebody told them about the plains of San Augustine. Okay, I could see that happening, but I don't think it's the actual place.
Why would they put the actual place? I don't think they would, but I'm eating some pumpkin pie.
Well, and plus nobody's ever mentioned, like, it would be kind of obvious, and you would need, and they would get permission to have a film crew out there, and I think any scene in a show like that, you're talking hundreds of people, pretty much, and all kinds of vehicles and all kinds of stuff. I just don't think it makes any sense. It's so far out there,
Who would it be
so
for,
far
right?
off
Like no
the
one knows.
grid.
Like the only point would be to point out like, oh, we were actually like there, but like no one even knows the site, right? So who's it actually for, right? So
Yeah, and I mean they might could have found out, but then again, I did talk to the owner, and he mentioned a few names, but he never mentioned the X Files being out there.
Money Penny, did you want to say something?
Wow, this is fascinating. It's good to have people here with a real insight into it as well. I don't even live on the same continent as you guys, but I'm a bit of an avid researcher. And I'm coming round because, I'm dead into my plasma stuff. I've been studying correlations between nuclear and atomic activity and what people loosely call aliens, UAPs, UFOs, whatever. And the connection is actually much more to do with the fundamental, chemistry of it all. So my question really is, a lot of people obviously are familiar with Roswell. A hell of a lot of people. In fact, it's almost like the biblical thing you need before you're inducted into this sort of group and sector. But not many people realize the coincidences. At the time of the incident, Roswell, as I understand it, was an army airfield. It was home to the world's only atomic bomber squadron, the 509th Bomb Group, and it was basically the first destructive hydrogen bombs, and some of them were like 1,000 times more destructive than those dropped on Japan. This is all when the nuclear standoff was big. We're talking 1947, 1948. We're talking atomic legislation coming in for the first time. And I still have such a powerful gut feel, backed up by the science of it, that the atomic bomber squadron based at Roswell and the reported crash of the UFO are correlated. They are massively correlated. I mean, let's face it, that's when UFOs started. That's really when the whole UFO thing began, is when superpowers got into nuclear arms races. It's the Cold War era. So to me, my questions really are, for a start, is it possible that any of that debris is nuclear fallout debris? We know that that area was one of the first areas where they were testing, developing, manufacturing, and researching all these atomic things. 120 ex-US Air Force personnel apparently, all go back to saying, well, yeah, we were doing some quite dodgy experiments. Things were going wrong, things were being broken and exploded. Isn't it possible that that might have something to do with it?
I say nay. No, I don't know. Yeah, anything's possible. I think you're right. You only just found out that was like the world's only nuclear whatever it was you called it, right? That is pretty interesting, like a coincidence, isn't it? I always found that pretty interesting myself.
Yeah,
There's something,
it's not a
something to that. I don't know
coincidence
what it is.
because I went and looked at nuclear testing all the way through to the southern Atlantic Ocean a few months ago when there was a massive solar filament that came off that great big thing in the sky called the sun, and all connected to the Earth's electromagnetic fields and the testing of nuclear, atomic, and electromagnetic weapons, which are physically changing not just the Earth, but implementing the sun's activity, which are kicking off all these things in the sky that I call plasmates. These big bundles of plasma that are all over Europe making the airports close are not unrelated. All of it is related.
You know, I just realized. Do you call them plasmates because they're like your mates, or is it like an actual
Well,
word?
that's a fascinating story, but very quickly, a plasmoid is scientifically what you call plasma that is encased by, electromagnetic casing, membrane, whatever you want to call it. I call it plasmate because there has to be a differentiation between what we now know are sentient, intelligent, conversational, organizational, and you can form a relationship with them. So they're your mate. They are plasma. They are your mate. They're not plasmoid because that would be dull and boring and scientific. So
Do
they're
you
a
have a
plasmate.
relationship with any of them, Moneypenny?
Well, I do. Yeah, you've seen videos of me having conversations and telling them to turn into different shapes and colors, and you've watched them as they, do it for me. You can see me doing it, standing talking to them.
Hey, can I chime in on that real quick? Because I'm about to have to go. Um, I will just want to point out, Monty Penny, you might have missed this, but we were actually in the plains of San Augustine, which is probably, I guess, 3 hours from Roswell, but still not that far from White Sands in the grand scheme of things. I do think that there is a connection between nuclear and the phenomenon, but I also think there's a connection between special places and the phenomenon. And I think New Mexico is one of those special places and was a special place long before 47 or the invention of atomic and nuclear weapons. I want to give you a different point of view, real quick, on what you're saying about the atomic group. My friend Paul, who does the Roswell tours, he's the ultimate authority on this. So I'll just briefly say what he said to me, and it really validates the fact that something extraordinary came down in Roswell. The fact that indeed this was our only atomic group out there in Roswell, and trust me, in '47 they had many other things of pressing concern on their minds than weather balloons or Project Mogul. And the fact that they sent some of the highest authorities from that group out to the middle of the desert to investigate what came down, it tells me and it tells many others that this indeed was something extraordinary that happened when you consider uh, the things that they were dealing with on a global scale. I mean, we are very much in the middle of this potential of mutually assured destruction or simultaneous atomic destruction, that sort of thing. And in Money Pin, I want to tell you, I learned a lot more about another incident from 47. It's called the Maury Island incident. It also happened in the summer of 47, but it happened in a much different area, Washington State in the Pacific Northwest. And that incident is really fascinating. Two FBI, it was the first appearance of Men in Black. So this is the first time that Men in Black entered the UFO lore, and two FBI agents were actually sent out to investigate that incident. They left. Their plane exploded and or crashed and killed both FBI agents that were sent out to investigate it. And this was shortly before the Roswell incident. So just some things to think about there.
That's fascinating. That fits in with so many other things in my recent research, and the Men in Black thing, particularly. Um, when you have, I won't go into it too much, but you have dusty plasma. If the particles in a plasma are metallic, like they're iron and aluminium, this object can look like a three-dimensional metal object of any shape, size, whatever it might be. The black or dark men, even, people who've experienced see dark men coming through the walls of their rooms in their houses. This seems very linked to the negative plasma entities, which are dense and dark and have more closely together particles, very dense particles. And those are the negative ones. And their ability, which morphologically into looking like humans or looking like people, particularly coming through walls, it's called non-collisional plasma. They are created by atomic and nuclear fusion. So it is by humans doing experiments and developing and playing with atomic fusion that these phenomena, the negative phenomena, can be created. And to me, that answers a hell of a lot of questions as to why we see objects in the skies, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, around nuclear bases. Because as well as destroying the Earth's magnetic layers, our protective layers, we are also potentially creating the negative entities that are going to rebalance or possibly unbalance the positive entities. And that worries me a lot.
And let me give a quick shout out here to Steve Edmiston. Steve kind of put our debate together that was out there in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and he's been studying the Maury Island incident for quite a long time. That's Maury, Maury Island, like Maury Povich incident. And he has an organization called the Men in Black Birthday Bash, and I think it's a big celebration they have every year just to kind of commemorate the Maury Island incident and the Men in Black and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping to check it out one year and go out there, but I felt he's an expert on it, and I'm just repeating a little bit of tiny information about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go away and get down a rabbit hole with your help. Thank you very much.
Well, no, Moneypenny, how can we not talk about your comment today? You have been officially unmasked as part of the operation.
Sorry, I don't know anything about this. What was this?
No, I'm just kidding. Lou liked your dancing video.
Oh, yeah. I know. That was funny, wasn't it? That's the first time I've had any contact with him. It was only about half an hour ago. Oh, God, that was funny.
Fun times.
I missed this.
But yeah.
What dancing video is it? Is it like a new one?
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah. Lou put a posy picture on of him, breathing in obviously tightly with a large rib cage.
How dare
He
you?
was about to burst in very tight chinos. And I made him do some professional ballet dancing with a little bit of prompt technique. And he loved it. He loved it so much. It's probably on his wall already. Yes, that's first time he's responded to. It's the first time I've messaged him, but he replied back straight away. So it was quite cool.
Is it that one that's like episode 2 of UFO Underestimated starring Bupa and Blue?
No, that's where Red Panda has got a starring role. Red is an absolute demon. He is starring in my little cartoons. No, it's a separate one, Logan. I've put it in the pill at the bottom. It's just literally the picture of Louis Elizondo, only he's doing a few pirouettes and spins and looking very fit, doing proper ballet dancing.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is getting weird. Guy? Oh, hold on. Cryptic. I think Cryptic had his hand up before Guy. I don't know. What's up, guys?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak.
What's up?
Hey, I joined in right about the time that you guys were talking about telepathy, psionics, like telepathic connections with pets and whatnot. And if you guys are done, I'd like to double click on that a little bit. It's like I've definitely
Go for
experienced
it.
that kind
Hell
of.
yeah.
Appreciate it. Because I definitely have that kind of connection with both my dog and my cat. I have about a 4-year-old Irish setter, and I don't even know how old my cat is. He was a stray, but they're like I don't have to ask them anything. I can already tell what they want just by the way they look at me, and that might just be mannerisms, but I think there's a little something deeper there. But there was a point made. I don't know if he's in here anymore, but we were talking about like the Tower of Babel and language and the idea of losing privacy if we were to somehow magically gain the ability to read each other's minds.
He's still here.
A
It's
Wallace
Darth
problem.
God down there. That's him.
Oh, cool. But yeah, like I'm kind of the belief, and I would definitely make the argument that it's definitely a double-edged sword if that were to ever happen. And depending upon where you look, when it comes to ET contact info, I'm a very big fan of L&L research and the Law of One material, as well as a lot of their other material. And it kind of seems like having that wall between us drop might be a natural thing that happens through the evolution of a species. What I mean by that, it seems like the most efficient way to really share information when you have, billions upon billions of people in a civilization. And there's a few examples that I really enjoyed recently. Jason Sands talking about that blue alien that he encountered. How there was this psionic link between the two of them, where the entity was speaking an entirely different language, and yet he was still understanding every word that the alien was speaking. Like there wasn't. It just happened naturally. It didn't seem like there was any kind of like a, yeah, you can enter my mind and understand, and I'm cool with being able to be in yours. It just happened like by default.
I had a similar. I just realized when you were saying this that I also saw like a blue alien, right? But mine didn't say anything to me, just dead silence. It gave me the stink eye is all he really did. But lucky for Jason Sands, I guess.
I mean that's pretty wild to even hear language. Like I was in Tupa Space, one of Tupa Spaces, like about 3 months ago, and I was talking about one of the experiences I had years ago. In 2017, I had an encounter with an entity that at the very least took the shape of the Fresno alien nightcrawler cryptid. Very obscure in the whole cryptozoology kind of
Yeah, explain that one. Yeah, I don't think anyone knows that one.
So back in, what was it? I want to say it was 2005. There was a CCTV camera recording in Fresno, California, outside of a warehouse in a parking lot of this being. It was probably about 5 to 6 foot tall, and it just looked like a head and a pair of legs.
That white blanket thing.
Yeah, the
night crawler.
Oh yeah, those are dope. I never heard it by that name
Yeah.
before though.
Yeah, it depends upon where you look, but the night crawler has kind of become like the slang term for the Fresno alien. There's a little bit of a cult fan base behind it, plushies and all that kind of stuff. Same with Mothman or Chupacabra, any of the other obscure beings out there. But yeah, the way that it moved was so very, I don't mean to be cliche here, but otherworldly. It was very ghostly. It was very strange to look at. Like this entity seemed to have legs that bent both directions. And there was also a video from Yosemite National Park, which is very close to Fresno, of 2 of these beings. One was tall, one was small, could be mother and child or whatever. But like the gait and the lopping motion, you could call it, it almost seemed like a very lazy kind of walking style. Or maybe like the legs aren't exactly, like the leg muscles aren't exactly too strong. It's very weird and it's very hard to look at. And those were the only 2 like real legit seeming recordings of the Nightcrawler. There have been a couple of others over the years, but like one like seeming to jump over a pool, like walking on water, hopping over the water in the pool. Very strange, but I don't put a lot of stock in that one. But the entity,
what do you make of that? What do you think the explanation is for that whole thing there? What is that?
Well, I tend to think that they're real because the being that I encountered had the exact shape of it. It, like the 2 that were in the recordings, one in Fresno, California, and the one in Yosemite, were both like solid white, ghostly looking beings. The one I saw had a mostly black body and white feet. Very odd to look at. The best way I can describe it when looking at this entity, it's kind of like watching one of those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and you can tell what is a little more animated than the procedurally generated background that's going to have motion. It looked like that. Like you could my brain couldn't really register what I was looking at.
It's just like seeing a UFO, really.
Yes, absolutely. Equally nebulous, equally anomalous. And so I'll just start from the top with the actual encounter. So I was out. It was November 29th, 2017. I was helping a buddy of mine try to put his gas tank back in his car. Kept failing, took a smoke break, kept hearing dogs barking in the neighborhood. Very loud, very aggressive. Like not the kind of normal stuff that I hear, because the dogs in the neighborhood at the time, I walked those streets all the time. They were very docile. You know, they didn't act like that. And so it's dead silent. And I was living in Elkhart, Indiana at the time. I don't live there anymore, but I was living in Elkhart, Indiana at the time. It's a city of about 50,000 to 60,000 people. And to have this zone of silence anywhere in the city, where there's no cars, there's no people, there's no noise, nothing, no music, anything, was so very strange. And this was only 8:30 at night on a Thursday. So I'm kind of enjoying the night, but then hearing all this disturbance in the neighborhood, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the dog barking kept getting closer and closer and closer until it eventually stopped the street behind me. So I'm kind of staying alert. I'm not scared of the dark. I'm scared of what's in it for the most part. But shortly after the dogs in the street behind us stopped barking, I saw this figure taking very slow, heavy steps in a very awkward walking fashion. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, all right, dude's enjoying the sound of the leaves crunching under his shoes, whatever. The figure walked behind a tree, and I didn't see it. Like, it just disappeared behind the tree. Okay, that's weird. Whatever. I'll keep an eye on that. I start hearing the crunching again, and this being walked behind the tree, walked directly towards me, and stopped right at the edge of the road, which was next to my house. And just stood there and stared at me. Nothing, no movement, not a muscle twitch, nothing. And watching it walk towards me, it had the same motion and movement that the videos from California had. It's like the skin on the legs was like wisping, like when you're wearing a t-shirt underwater, that kind of wispiness, like the air was pushing against it, and it was loose enough to be affected by the air pressure.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yep. So the entity just kind of stood there and stared at me for a couple of minutes while I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at. And me and the buddy are on a smoke break. I'm like, hey man, do you see anything over there in those trees? He was looking real hard, and he said, no, man. I was like, I don't see anybody standing over there. And he was just hyper focused on getting the work done. It was a project car. He was already pissed off, so he got back into the car. I go to look back at this being, and it formed, the best I could say was a telepathic connection with me, and it asked me a question: what is the difference between shared and singular reality? Subjective, objective reality. And immediately after it asked me that question, I heard this in my head. I got this huge swath of pictures and thought patterns and everything that just kind of got dumped into me. And it was so much at once that my head started to hurt and my chest started to pound. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the last thing that happened, while this being is still standing there and hasn't moved a single muscle, I got this like mental short film playing of me going inside, grabbing my messenger bag and my walking stick, and going to talk to this being. Obviously, it was an invitation. It wanted me to come say hi. The fact that my roommate couldn't see it, and the fact that I was honestly freaking out. Like, this is something I had always been obsessed with UFOs, aliens, and everything in the paranormal since I was, in the single digit years of childhood. But this just was a lot at once. So I returned to Monk for a sec. I'm like, see threat, fight, or fight or flight. Anyway, I saw the gate was open, and I figured, if I'm having some kind of episode,
Were you
here
scared?
or whatever, I was terrified. I felt like I was having a heart attack, and the being didn't do anything to cause that. It was just standing there. It had no threatening posture. It was just as chill as possible. But it's like and I've heard this talked about with a number of people over the years. Like, when you see something like this, your mind isn't equipped at the time to resolve this entity in your reality. So I had this instinctual fear take over. I couldn't think straight. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go shut this gate. And if this is something that's actually physically here, then it can approach. And if not, then I'm just going to forget that this happened for the moment. I went and closed the gate, and the being finally moved. It started walking away, a little bit slumped over, but then when it walked under a street light, and I saw the whole thing in full detail, and I felt like I was going to fall over. It was the strangest thing that like no rational thought was able to come out. I was just panicking. So
Were you like in a blind rage?
No, it wasn't blind rage. It was just an anxiety that I can't really put in words, and words almost takes away from.
I'll tell you what, because I had a blind rage when I saw whatever I saw. I was my instinct was to like rip this entity like apart into like pieces and just destroy it. It might have been because he was like invading my personal space too out of nowhere, but yeah, that was my instinct. But I couldn't move, so there was that. But yeah.
So the entity you saw was like in your home, standing over you, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's terrifying. I couldn't imagine dealing with that. Like, I've never had any kind of home invasion. If I did, I don't remember it. Screen memories and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was during the middle of the day. It was like 1 in the afternoon or something.
Wow. The fact that it would come during the day, that's kind of amazing. So, like, if you don't mind me asking, like what was the whole scenario like with you?
I was summoning demons at the time. Maybe.
Shit.
I mean, who knows? Maybe I was. I was actually doing the Gateway Experience tapes. Like at the time, I was doing like a lot of them, like every single day, like all day long. I was on house arrest at the time, so I had really nothing else to do. So I just really got into that, and I had stopped like meditating like I would normally do, and just like take off my headphones or whatever. And I was just sitting like Indian style on the floor, and I looked over, and the entity was just like standing there next to me, like when I looked up, and I couldn't move, but I was like really angry. If I could have just swung at him like as hard as I could, I would have, but I couldn't move. So, and then he just kind of like vanished after like I don't know, less than a minute. So, but he didn't say anything to me. He just kind of looked at me like disappointedly. It seemed like, but I don't know. Maybe it was like the angle I was looking down at him, or I mean looking up at him from, right? Maybe he just kind of seemed that way because he was looking down. I don't know. But yeah, that's all that happened. Nothing really interesting.
Indeed. You ever thought that you might have a friend out there that was trying to intervene?
Like intervene? Like, how do you mean?
Well, like you said, you were trying to summon demons. Maybe he wasn't a demon or anything of the sort, but
oh, that's what I mean by doing the Gateway Experience tapes. That maybe that's really just like demon summoning. Maybe that's what's like really happening there. Maybe, I don't know. He did arrive, didn't he? And maybe he saw me doing some like a weird like voodoo shit. And he's like, this guy is doing some like weird voodoo shit down there. This like human guy. I'm gonna go check that out, right? And then he saw like me just sitting there. He's like, what the fuck is this? And he's like shook off, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like something like that was probably going on. I don't know.
That's very intriguing, because like there is more to the to my own encounter that goes a lot deeper. But it like from my own experiences, it does seem like we have any variety of entities that are very interested not only in our planet but us personally. Like it was made aware to me that that in 8 years ago when I had the experience, there were tens of millions of people that were being actively approached in dream state and in real life, kind of like a plain clothes on the street kind of thing. Like you could have an interaction with an entity and you won't even see them as anything but a human being. But like there might be a little bit of a glitch in the glamour, if you will, like something that might like leak through. But for the most part, it really does seem like we have people watching over us in some sense. I'm not going to say like guardian angels, but possibly in different levels. But this the entity that I encountered, I call him
I'll say
Slip,
this:
by the
I've
way.
never done it again.
No,
The whole Gateway Experience tapes. I've never ever since that experience. I never did it again since that day. Fuck, dippy shit, right? But
I can't blame you.
I wasn't really planning on anything like real to happen like that. So.
Oh yeah, when you have an
I was just trying to
experience like this,
relax.
I ended up making heard that. But yeah, when you end up having an encounter with something like this, like we're never prepared for it, no matter how much we want something and how much we think we're ready for an encounter like that. We never are. There's always variables with like the type of energy that the being gives off. I've heard experiences over the years where, and even in my own encounter, where people will have an experience with an entity, and they'll just it's like a light, it's like a switch flips inside of them, and suddenly they're euphoric. They just don't know what to do with themselves. They're just high on life, and that can last for a really long time. Like it does make a change in you. And I like even 8 years later, I'm not going to say that I would probably handle another encounter with the Nightcrawler Slim or any otherworldly being like that any better than I did back then. But I probably wouldn't collapse on myself. I think that's the whole point of these little interventions, especially if you put out a call. Like you were doing some voodoo, some hoodoo. Over the course of a few months, I put out a call to this entity and just kind of like, I was always interested in the night crawlers, so I ended up making like this little wooden effigy in the yard. And every time I would leave or come back from the house, I would, put my hand over it, just like, hey, if you guys are out there, I love you. You're all cool. I'd love to meet one of you. And so, like, I constantly question the encounter, even after all this time, and even after forming a link with this being for quite some time, where we were just like kind of bantering back and forth, talking about personal progress, absolving trauma, self-forgiveness,
You and
forgiveness
this being
of
in
others.
what? This is all telekinetic or telepathy or what?
Telepathic connections, yeah.
Was it like
After this,
telepathic in English or just like? What do
it
you
was
mean?
feelings.
Okay.
The being spoke in images and sensations more than words, but sometimes it would, have a word for word interaction. Like it was something that, like, I almost feel cliche
Is it
saying
deceiving
this.
you? Did you feel at all, or do you feel he was being honest?
I don't feel like it was. No, I don't feel like it had any ill intent, especially once I made the connection. A couple days after the encounter, I just opened up. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna roll with this. Whatever the hell's happening here, I'm gonna let it happen. I'm gonna see where it goes, because I